I'm sure we all love Temple of Legends, home of the Bob's Weapon Merchant, that one grind spot that got terminated from existence, and that boss altar that is pretty easy. It's also home to that guy named Corruptor of Worlds, but we'll get back to him later. But this is the fetch quest of fetch quests. There's not a single quest that I can think of off the top of my head that requires more fetching than this one does. Anyways, back to the matter at hand. This is the 100% not accurate review of Temple of Legends. Here we go! So first off, you talk to this guy, Kalite, outside the entrance, and fun fact, to even start Temple of Legends, you need to do a total of 6 quests. Yes, you heard me right, 6! The quests needed in order to start Temple of Legends is Mushroom Man, which is level 12, Grave Digger, which is level 20, Maltic's Well, which is level 18, the Mummy's Tomb, which is level 36, Corrupted Village, which is level 26, and Bob's Lost Soul, which is level 45. Anyway, once you start that, he tells you that you're gonna need to make a helmet in order to beat Corruptor of Worlds. How do we do this? First off, we have to go to the roots of corruption, aka the place where I accidentally fall in lava about every 10 seconds, because I'm trying to run away from a magma cube headed my way or a blaze shooting at me in the distance. But that's all good and fine, because at least we only have to be there for a brief moment before we have to head off to Mage Island. Once you reach the roots of corruption, you're gonna want to head down this way and towards where this mage guy is from that one level 21 quest to unlock the best dungeon ever, aka Lost Sanctuary. Sorry, my bad. Did I say the best dungeon ever? I meant second best. It only loses to Undergrowth Ruins. And you're gonna want to talk to this guy, and he tells you you're gonna need to go to a cave over here in order to get the light dust. Oh, and by the way, for the love of God, please do not accidentally trigger the Adventuring Mage's dialogue, or else you're gonna have to sit through that whole thing. Once you get over to the cave, you want to use the grade A strategy of if I'm on my horse and I hold the W key, I will win. But then it wants you to parkour, but the game forgot you have a movement spell, so you just use that and spam across it. And then you get the light dust you need, which just drops everywhere, and head back to the guy that told you to get in the first place. And then you just head back to this guy, and he'll tell you that you now need to go to Mage Island to purify the light dust. I hope you all like using the Sea Skipper, by the way, because you're going to be using it a lot during this quest. Now that you've arrived on Mage Island, what you're going to want to do next is do this random parkour up to where this guy lives, only to have him tell you to go back down and proceed to grind 12 of the sky vapor from these mobs down here, only to go back up to him. Now that he's purified the light dust, you need to go all the way back to where Kalite is. We'll just refer to him as the guy that stands outside of Temple of Legends. Once you're done talking to the guy outside of Temple of Legends, you're gonna need to go to the Creeper Cave. Oh yeah, did I mention you needed to have Creeper infiltration done up to a certain point too? My mistake, you need to finish that. The best part is you don't even have to have Creeper infiltration complete, you just need to have it done up to the point where you can go into the cave. But since that's right at the end of the quest, I'm gonna assume most of you have it done to begin with. To get it back, you simply just need to do what you did in the quest, and by that I mean you first need to kill the Pigman Overlord that spawns in this room, and then once you get the hide from the Pigman Overlord, you then just go into the same cave you went into to get to the Creeper skin, go through there, trigger the cutscene, watch the Creeper blow you off a mountain and you somehow survive. Proceed to collect the Creeper skin once again, because it only spawns after you do that cutscene. And then go to the merchant right over here and just buy the mask again. I love how I just basically made an entire guide on Creeper infiltration to begin with, and I did it in a 100% not accurate review of Temple of Legends. Killing 2 birds with 1 stone, I guess. Once you get your Creeper mask again, if you needed to, you can proceed to just do this parkour once more. drag the creeper follower down, blow up the doorway, and talk to this guy who you might have talked to on accident during the creeper infiltration quest. He'll tell you the ingredients you need in order to make the helmet itself, and I already have the ingredients on me, but for the purposes of this video, I guess I'm gonna go get them anyway. The 4 ingredients you need are the old Torodo hide, the Coral of Nelfor's, Maro's Eye Jewel, and the Asiedo leaf, and I probably butchered that last one. All of those ingredients I just listed are in fact untradeable, meaning you have to go get all of them yourself. The first one we're going to talk about is the Asiedo leaf, and I still don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but we're going to pretend like that is how you pronounce it. If you follow the staircase down from the Ibaju village down this way towards where this shaman dude is, and then turn immediately left after you pass him, you'll see this cave entrance. Go through the cave, and to the very end of the cave, there will be a spot where the Asiedo leaf will spawn. The Asiedo leaf can be hard to see at times since there is a bunch of grass covering the floor and it is just a tree, but it'll just drop eventually, so you might have to wait a little bit, killing these really annoying baby zombie mobs before you can actually leave this place with the Asiedo leaf. Sorry, my bad. I forgot to complain about the Great Bridge earlier, so the Great Bridge... The Great Bridge. The Great Bridge. God. The amount of times I've kited something through the Great Bridge and gotten a massive migraine is really something astonishing. Not the fact that I got a massive migraine, mind you. The fact that I had the idea to kite something through the Great Bridge. It is a very terrible idea. Please refrain from doing it. The next ingredient is here in Rhymek, because you can only use the old Torodo hides, not the Torodo hides you get from wasting your time and killing the Torodo cows outside of Sinpris. Then you'll want to head to the Fabrics Merchant, and you'll see that you can buy it for 32 gold bars. But here's a pro tip, the quest Tribal Aggression, which is level 35, gives you a reward of 42 gold. Use 32 of that gold to buy the old Torodo hide, and then just stuff it in your bank somewhere, and everything will be fine. Alternatively, instead of buying all the gold you need, you could just go grind the Rhymek mobs, because most of them do in fact drop the gold bars. But I still prefer the method of just doing Tribal Aggression and then using that gold in order to pay for it. Next, you want to go to Selchar in order to get the Sea Veil Reef, which is where the Coral of Nelfor's is located. But swimming around for roughly 2 to 3 minutes usually has just a bunch spawn in one area for no reason. So once that happens, feel free to collect it and just start heading out again. Oh yeah, I didn't mention, by the way, you need the climbing helmet in order to access Maro Peaks, which you get from Ice Nations. So that's now 8 quests you need to do for this one single fetch quest. Anyway, in order to get to where the Maro's Eye Jewel is, you need to just really follow the signs that point to where the abandoned mines are. There is a faster way to get over to the Eye Jewel, but it requires you to have at least a decent amount of intel in order to spam spells over to the other side. And that way is by just going to Zytash's home and then spamming spells over towards the north. But either way you take, you want to head over to where this bridge is, which leads down to where the eye is. Once you go across the bridge, you just head up the cave, follow the sign down, and boom, you have all the eye jewels. Luckily, the eye jewels have an insane spawn rate, which means you can just sit here and AFK as long as you didn't have any mobs follow you down here, and proceed to get all the eye jewels you will ever need. So I'll correct my statement I said before, it's the hardest to get to the first time around in my opinion, but the easiest overall since you can just sit here. But before we leave, here's a pro tip. This is where you get Bab's Wool, which you need for reincarnation. Since you're here in Maro Peaks, you might as well get it while you can so you don't have to come back later. as the wool itself is in fact untradeable. Once you get all of the ingredients, you're going to want to head back into the creeper sanctuary, hideout, whatever you want to call it, and talk to the creeper dude again. Also, I know this is me probably just taking a piece of dialogue and analyzing it way too much, but the creeper dude admits people come back from killing the beast. The game right here and now acknowledges that mobs respawn too. I know that's me just taking this way out of context, especially because the Beyond the Grave quest exists, which justifies the respawn mechanic existing. But still, the moment I saw that piece of dialogue, I don't know why, it's just been stuck in my head for ages. With the helmet, you can now go talk to the guy outside of Temple of Legends. He'll then give you an un-ID'd helmet, which you need in order to fight Corruptor of Worlds. And if you don't have helmets like Corrupted Knee Shaco, for example, like I do, I highly recommend you keep using this helmet because it's a very nice jack-of-all-trades helmet. With the helmet on, you can now enter this area right next to where the guy outside of Temple of Legends is. Proceed to go down into the teleporter and run over and fight Corruptor Worlds. I didn't know this originally, but apparently when you trigger the first tripwire, you actually can see Corruptor of Worlds spawn in behind you and watch you run away, which is actually really neat, and I didn't know that existed until somebody pointed it out. You can ignore everything in this room and the following room that we're about to fall into. Once you get through, Corruptor of Worlds will slam on the floor and you'll TP to his fight. Most new players will be surprised by his sheer speed, but that's all he has going for him. Everything else about him is a joke. He's weak to fire and air, which means those are the recommended elements you should try and bring to this fight. Although I have soloed him before with things like clairvoyance and such. But the main thing, as said before, is his speed, because all he does is just run straight at you and sit on you until you either blind him or knock him away. With Archer, pretty much doing anything outside of letting him stand on top of you is a good thing. As Assassin, your best friend is always Spin Attack, which temporarily blinds him and stuns him, meaning free stun locking. As a warrior, you can really just let him sit on top of you, and you can still win pretty easily just because of your natural defense. Although Uppercut is pretty useful for knocking him away when you need to recover a little bit. And Mage Ice Snake. He does have a surprising amount of health regen though, being 5k, so if you don't bring a good weapon to this fight, you will lose it when you try to solo it. The only attacks he has outside of his main attack of running at you is either push or pull, I forget which one it is, and multi-hit. And multi-hit's really easy to dodge. It's called you walk away from the mob. But once you talk to the guy outside of Temple of Legends, you can finally access it. So, what is your grand reward for having to complete 8 quests in order to do this one quest? Well, you unlock this grinding area. It has horrid spawn rates now. It's terrible. Please do not grind here. But in my opinion, the best reward, and probably a lot of people will now agree since the grind spot got nerfed, is the weapons merchant for Bob's weapons, which you get from completing reincarnation. Is that useless if you've already done it on one character? You're absolutely correct. Yeah, it's useless. You also unlock this boss altar, and I'm just a boss altar fanatic, so I just love boss altars in general. The only reward I think that's worthy of note from there is what's called the Stave of Legends, which is a wand and it's rainbow damage. And rainbow damage at low levels right now, probably not as much after the update of the items drops, is insane. In my opinion, the quest is only worth doing once because while the fetching is very obnoxious, the build-up and payoff of the fight against Corruptor of Worlds is well worth it because Corruptor of Worlds is probably the hardest boss most new players have fought up to that point. I say most because I have seen a few new players that agree with me that Corruptor of Worlds is very easy. But anyway, there you go, 100% not accurate review of Temple of Legends. Now, if you excuse me, I need to go catch up on some quests, because I skipped some.